87, California, land of free, where it never rains and the mountains touch the sea. In the summer of love.
This is our premiere program of Arts in the Park Video Magazine, produced by the Park Theater Company, St. Louis Park's Community Theater. I'm Jim McDonough, Board Chair and Production Manager of the Park Theater Company. And first of all, we'd like to express our thanks and gratitude to the City of St. Louis Park, and in particular, its Arts and Culture Grant Program, for making this program possible. Also, the St. Louis Park Friends of the Arts and Park TV 15 and its Community TV Coordinator, John McHugh, for their support, encouragement, and technical assistance in bringing you Arts in the Park Video Magazine. Arts in the Park Video Magazine highlights the breadth and depth of the arts and culture here in St. Louis Park. And even more importantly, it gives you the backstory of the artists, the creatives, and those people that bring you this wonderful arts and culture environment that we appreciate, enjoy, and are informed by. The Park Theater Company, St. Louis Park's Community Theater, established in 2008, continues to support and engage people in the performing arts. In addition, its music, dance, and arts learning initiatives encourage even broader appreciation for the arts and culture of our community.
I grew up in St. Louis Park. I was born right down there at Methodist Hospital. Attended St. Louis Park High School, class of '01. St. Louis Park High School is a wonderful place for the arts. That's where I learned my passion for painting and acting and singing. Choir and select choir there was wonderful. I went to the U of M, did some poetry work there, and after the U of M, got heavily into photography, which is my main passion today. In a fine art capacity, which is sort of my own leadings and guidings, also as a portrait photographer. So if someone calls up and needs a senior portrait, something along those lines, I'll be able to help them with that. I'm a self-taught photographer, but I've been studying it pretty closely for the last 3 or 4 years, so I have a fairly broad education in that field. So, what I capture some of the many beautiful public works of art around St. Louis Park, around the Rec Center, Wolf Park Amphitheater, Excelsior and Grand, places like that. Several sculptures and other beautiful art installations. And that particular day when I was out, I remember it was a chilly day, cold wind, but the sunlight was so beautiful coming in from the west there. The warm golden light on these sculptures really brought them to life for me. And it was a fun project. Spent a couple hours and got some fun results. As you drive in there and park your car at the rec center, you'll notice a large, looks like stainless steel sculpture, about 15 or 20 feet tall there. As you go into the rec center, right inside those first doors is a mural or mosaic. That's a very interesting piece installed there. And then in Wolf Park, there's again just a collection of other smaller works. They're very interesting to see. Did you go to our website? It's michaeljpeters.com. It's just my name, michaeljpeters.com. And there's a form request where you can request more information or get in contact with us that way.
I'm the executive director at St. Louis Park Friends of the Arts. Prior to that, I came on to Friends of the Arts as a marketing and membership manager in March of 2016. My background artistically is as a singer, so I was trained classically at St. Olaf College in Northfield and sang in a lot of choirs there and continue to sing in community choirs and in the Twin Cities and freelance sing as well as a tenor vocalist. Friends of the Arts in St. Louis Park is a community organization that's been around for about 20 years now. It was started initially in response to some arts funding being cut at the schools and has been a staple of this community for the last 20 years. We advocate for the arts at all levels, in the schools, in city policy and governance. We have arts programs, we offer scholarships and access to the arts for every corner of the community. We partner with the city on all kinds of arts programs that the city brings to St. Louis Park. There's an arts and culture grant which we partner with each year so that artists can bring professional creative projects to the city. And we have a summer program every year called Our Town. And this summer, we'll be having our second summer of Our Town Sings, which is exciting for me as a singer to get the opportunity to work on. Last year, we had 5 concert and community sings at the Wolf Park Amphitheater. They're free opportunities for anyone to come together with their friends and neighbors to make art together. It might be one of the only times throughout the year that people get a chance to sing with their neighbors. Other than maybe happy birthday and take me out to the ball game, you don't do a lot of singing with one another. So this is a great opportunity to come out in a really welcoming, non-threatening environment, do some singing, hear some great music. And we've got another great lineup this summer of 5 more concert and community sings. We have all kinds of different music, celebrating the music from different cultures and the significance of singing to those cultures. So we'll have music from the Twin Cities Community Gospel Choir. Some a cappella singing from the Give Get Sestet, this fabulous group of women who sing a cappella music. We have the Somali Museum of Minnesota returning to the park this year with their dance troupe and a renowned poet and singer named Safia Tusmo, who will be performing some traditional Somali poetry and singing. And then we have a unity sing to close out our series that's going to be all about different forms of justice and unity. And there's food trucks, and hopefully we get some great weather like we did last summer, and we have a really successful series again. We get funding from a number of ways. We received a grant from the Metropolitan Regional Arts Council. That's legacy funding in the state of Minnesota that was voted on by the residents here in Minnesota. So we receive funding from the Arts Council. We have business sponsors that partner with us. There's some great business support in St. Louis Park for creative activities and accessible arts. Citizens Independent Bank has been a sponsor for past Our Towns and other arts events, and they are on as a sponsor again. Discover St. Louis Park is sponsoring this event as well. They know that the arts brings the park together and it brings people into the park. So it's really important for us that this program remains free so that it is accessible to everyone. And we also fund this through individual donations as well. So if you are not a member of Friends of the Arts yet and you support programs like Our Town Sings, we really encourage you to consider a membership. The best way to stay in the know on Friends of the Arts is through our monthly e-newsletter. And you can sign up for that at our website. It's slpphoto.org, where you can apply for scholarships, you can download the grant application, you can sign up for the newsletter, or follow us on Facebook, where we create some more conversations around the arts and what people are seeing and experiencing and enjoying about the arts here in St. Louis Park.
The Park Theater Company produced a 2017 Minnesota Fringe Festival play entitled Blackbeard's Revenge. Under the pen name Seamus McDonough, Jim McDonough, the Park Theater's board chair, wrote the play following an intensive 3-year investigation of the golden age of piracy and Blackbeard, the most terrifying, notorious pirate on the 7 seas. The show opens with Blackbeard clutching his booty and a spectacular silver chalice, trapped in a snare. He weighs his options, revenge or redemption. The theatrical production is a dramatic mystery with violence, grace, and song. Inspired by a lifelong fascination, playwright Jim McDonough of the Park Theater Company has created Blackbeard's Revenge, an alternative interpretation of the most notorious and infamous brigand from the golden age of piracy.
Yours most sincerely, Edward Midwinter, Esquire. By George, they'll ruin the whole endeavor with their snooping. To think that those they have vilified would offer up their own families for further retribution by those who would... Very well. Edward Teach, later known as Blackbeard, was born in Bristol, and like many seafaring men would look west across the Irish Sea for opportunity and fortune.
The play is based upon historical accounts, including the presence of a splendid silver cup in the ship's manifest
Silver chalice.
of the Queen Anne's Revenge.
Passed
This world premiere was directed by Paul von Stotzel, local filmmaker and theatrical Svengali.
The production of a fringe festival show presented some unique challenges. The play must be 60 minutes or less in length, and cast and crew have only one opportunity to rehearse in the performance venue before opening. All props and set must be stored in a 3-by-4-foot space backstage. Since all the performance venues are in Minneapolis, the director preferred that the rehearsals, which started 2 months before open, be held in Minneapolis. Special thanks from the Park Theater have to be given to St. Austin's Catholic Church in North Minneapolis and Springhouse Ministry Center in South Minneapolis for providing the space needed to mount this production. This production included a dramatic sword fight which required a combat choreographer as well as weapons from Northern Edge Armory, sabers and daggers.
Treasure is mine, and only death will separate me from it! No quarter.
An array of period props and costumes were needed and were supplemented by the Guthrie costume rentals. Musical interludes were added to increase the appeal to fringe audiences. Cabaret singer Nicole Carey received wonderful reviews for her vocals, and she was backed up by the Roundabouts, a local musical trio with banjo, guitar, drums, harmonica, and keyboards.
A shilling to spare, so be easy and free when you get with me. I'm a man you don't meet every day, so we fill up your glasses with brandy and wine. Whatever it costs, I will pay. So be easy and free when you drink.
The set design and props were created by Park Theater's Tim Colby. Actors included Brian Hesser as Blackbeard, Kelly Nelson as Mary Orman, Matthew Kelly as Israel Hands, Adri Mera, a St. Louis Park High School grad, as Lieutenant Robert Maynard, Kayla McCarthy as Gabriel, Guardian of the Grail, and Mike Cohn of St. Louis Park as Jebediah the pirate, and Marcus Wellhofer as Jack, a British naval seaman. Seth Rowe, the St. Louis Park Sun Sailor community editor, provided wonderful press coverage of the production, and Park Theater's Michael J. Peters and Richard Mulby memorialized the production with wonderful photography and graphic design.
I'm Chris Velasco from PLACE, and PLACE is a nonprofit organization, and its name actually means Projects Linking Art, Community, and Environment. So you can tell right in the DNA of our name what is most important to us as a nonprofit organization. And we've come to St. Louis Park to work on a flagship sustainable community for the arts. And we think it's going to be a special place to bring together the arts, sustainable design, and transit-oriented development, because it'll be right at the light rail, the new light rail station that's coming in there, and urban agriculture, jobs, and of course everything infused with art and culture and imagination.
Chris described working with St. Louis Park's planning department.
St. Louis Park really was interested in what we were doing. We were introduced there by a property owner in the area, a guy named Don Casbaum, who I've known for a while, and he had owned the McGarvey Coffee Factory in St. Louis Park and had proposed an apartment building there. And he came to me and he said, you know, I think what they want is they want place. And so we went and met with the leaders and the staff at the city, and they said, we think that's exactly what we should have here, especially with the new light rail station coming, especially with that bike trail. We really felt encouraged by the city and city staff that are in place that are really open to being pioneers, being trying new things that nobody else has really done. And so they really embraced what we were trying to do, and if there were obstacles, they really were inventive in removing those obstacles. We've been trying to put the word out via social media and by meeting with groups like Friends of the Arts and Springboard for the Arts and other arts organizations that are in not just St. Louis Park, but actually the whole region, because we think that this will be a pretty important facility for the arts regionally. We've also put out a survey. We surveyed, I think, about 5,000 artists to try to understand what they would need and want from such a community as we're talking about building in St. Louis Park. And then coming up in the next couple of months, we're going to be convening the arts community, anybody who's interested, in really talking about the live and work spaces and how they might function, and how the artists can get involved in even some of the creations. This is the first time I'm talking about this, but we're even trying to create some spaces within the architecture where artists could say, I'm going to put a mosaic in here, or a mural or something, and so that over time the building can change and reflect the kinds of exciting things that are happening within it. And I think that's something that I haven't seen done before. I certainly haven't done it in any of the 26 projects that I've worked on, so that's something I'm quite excited in talking about with the arts community.
And how can people connect with PLACE and the development in St. Louis Park? What's the best way?
You know, you can always email us at info@welcometoplace.org and go to our website at welcometoplace.org. You can call us at 612-309-3889. We get a lot of inquiries, but we promise our community will respond within 24 hours to you and answer your questions. And also, we post things on our Facebook page, Facebook page, which is Place Inc. We also have a Twitter feed, which is @PlaceTeam. Those things are our attempt to try to keep everybody abreast of what we're doing. Look for our next meeting, and we will talk at length then. And we also have an online community, and Jim, I think you're on that, where we kind of give regular updates, and people can just ask us questions or throw out ideas. They can post images. Here's something I would really like to see. And that's been a great way too for people who maybe don't want to come to a meeting, but might send us a message at 2 o'clock in the morning, you know, and we want to hear from them too.
Wonderful, Chris. Thank you for taking the time today, and we'll be looking for more information about Place and the development on the site. And so thanks so much, and good luck with your projects.
Thank you, Jim. Thanks to the Friends of the Arts.
My name is Sheila McNellis Asato. I'm a visual artist, and I'm very influenced by dreaming, by Japan. I've lived there for a long time, and by nature. I incorporate all of these into my work. And my work has gone from being primarily paintings to photography and printmaking, and now into the book arts. And so I incorporate all of these into the handmade, one-of-a-kind books that I make. When I was living in Japan, I knew that it was time to get my own studio space. And I was thinking really hard about what should I name this place. I had a dream about the Monkey Bridge, which is a very famous image in Japanese art and actually all of East Asian art and culture. So while I was teaching at this college, I found a lot of the Japanese kids were not familiar with this image, even though there was a bridge in Tokyo named Monkey Bridge, and there were many famous prints by artists like Hiroshige or Hokusai, you know, dealing with this topic. So as I was looking at that, I got really enamored with one painting in particular, where there's a string of monkeys are hanging on by each other's tails and hands, and they're coming down from a tree to a pond, to reach into the pond to grab the image of the moon, something that no individual monkey could do by themselves. I thought that's what happens when we create art and community. When we focus with our hands on the work of our hands and using our hearts to create work together, explore our materials, the creative process, somehow we're able to reach in for these images that we could never get by ourselves. And so there's something not only about the art making process, but doing it together in community, whether we speak to each other or not, that's very exciting. So at that point when I opened my studio, I also had a lot of foreign residents that would come to my classes. And I noticed that none of them could speak the same language. So I thought, how am I going to teach these folks? And at that point, I got a hold of Betty Edwards' Drawing on the Right Side of the Brain, a classic text for teaching drawing. And it's available in so many languages. So I gave everybody a copy of the book, and I'd say, like, read chapter 3 in your own language. Then we would sit down and do the exercises together. And even though people couldn't talk to each other easily because of linguistic limitations, when the classes were finished, they would be hugging each other. And I could tell that this act of sitting down together, drawing together, observing the world outside of ourselves together, somehow made us all feel more connected with each other. And so my hope for Monkey Bridge was that it would become a place where we could use our hands, go in deep together to reach into places that would make new bridges of peace, understanding, and tolerance with each other, even if we can't speak the same language. So the best way to get in touch with me, if you'd like to learn more about how to work with the book arts, visual arts, photography, painting, drawing, or also to think about how you can bring dreaming into your life and creative work as part of your healing process or creative exploration, the best way to get a hold of me is either through my website at monkeybridgearts.com, that's all one word, or to send me an email at sheilaasato@gmail.com, and that's SHEILAASATO@gmail.com. I look forward to hearing from you.
Each year, Children First hosts an ice cream social featuring scoops of Sebastian Joe's ice cream and a showcase for young performing artists and family-friendly, youth-oriented activities. This year's festivities were held at the new St. Louis Park Recreation Outdoor Center, The Rock. This year's Children First Ice Cream Social also involved a new initiative by St. Louis Park visual artist Pam Lure entitled Pianos on Parade. Donated pianos were decoratively painted by artists young and old.
The Benilde St. Margaret's Red Notes a cappella choir, under the direction of Adam Petroski, performed at the Children's First Ice Cream Social. The Red Notes, a new choir at Benilde St. Margaret's, had competed in the International Championship of High School a cappella earlier in the year, which was held in Port Washington, Wisconsin.
The Red Notes auditioned for the international competition of high school a cappella, which, if you've ever seen the movie Pitch Perfect, is the high school version of that competition. And the Red Notes were the only group from Minnesota to get accepted into the competition.
At the Children First Ice Cream Social, we filmed Mayor Jake Spano opening of the new St. Louis Park Recreation Outdoor Center.
That's awesome, everybody. Enjoy our afternoon. Thanks again, and make sure to check in your Children First and support them. Thanks for coming out.
St. Louis Park's Spanish Immersion School's Baile Folklorico performed a colorful and enthusiastic display of dances from Spanish-speaking countries at the Children First Ice Cream Social. The PSI Ballet Folklorical Dance Program is an after-school activity where students learn traditional dances and cultural traditions from Spanish-speaking countries. For the past 12 years, PSI teachers, interns from the Amity Institute, students, and parents have worked together to build this wonderful program. Students share culture via dance performing for their peers and the community.
Where to find out about arts in your neighborhood? Try the St. Louis Park Art Scene page of the Sun Sailor, the Arts Entertainment Calendar. Then again, there's the St. Louis Park Friends of the Arts Art Talk newsletter and their art calendar. The City of St. Louis Park website, the Hennepin County Library Art on Exhibit, and the Directory of Public Art displayed in Hennepin County, and the Edina Art Center, the Minnetonka Center for the Arts, and the Hopkins Center for the Arts.
I'm writing to thank you for the summer of '67.